I've been reading a book online called History of the Second Advent Message by Isaac Welcome, written in 1874. I found a really neat quote that I think is very relevant to the Watchtower. If you look up the word creed on the CD, and even in the older publications, they have from the very beginning ranted on and on about creeds, calling them names like man-made, conflicting, unnecessary, old and crusty, fixed in stone, and not flexible to changing with new light. Russell claimed in 1882 that his group had no creed but the Bible itself. And this has been repeated in the Watchtower over the years. Here's the quote that I really like from that book. It's kind of ironic, too, because some of these Adventists were really kind of like the grandparents of Russell and his movement. So it's just kind of an ironic quote, considering he's so anti-creedal. The fact is, there is no man living without his distinct creed, for a creed is nothing more or less than a belief. When a man makes his belief, or a body of men make their belief, the test of other men's salvation, they act as bigots. They usurp God's prerogative. But when he or they allow to others the same liberty of thought and speech that they ask for themselves, making them only responsible to their Maker, they do not transgress the golden rule. What a man believes is his creed. The creed of the infidel is, I believe in all unbelief. The creed of another is, I believe we have no right to write out our belief. Another's creed is, I do not believe in any creed except the New Testament. And the creed of another is, I believe we do have the right to write out and undeceive the world as to our understanding of scriptural teachings. Now, shall the man whose creed is, I believe we have no right to have an oral or written creed, make that creed the standard to which all men must submit? If he does, he is himself a bigot. A man who thus believes has no right to speak or write, for if he speaks what he believes, he has an oral creed, and if he writes what he believes, he has a written creed. If therefore he speaks or writes, he puts forth his creed, unless he speaks or writes what he does not believe, and then he is a hypocrite. A man who thus believes can write for no periodical, he can preach no sermon. Every thought he gives utterance to is a violation of his creed. It is a departure from it, or in conflict with it. And while thus continually violating his own creed, he surely has no right to oblige all others to submit to it. Those who cry the loudest against creeds and disclaim the strongest are the very men who require others to submit to their ipsa dixit. They require the largest liberty for themselves and allow the least to others. And if others are not ready to comply with their fancies, ever varying as they are ready to consign them to perdition. For shame on such absurd inconsistencies. So what he's saying is that some of those that claim they have no creed but the Bible or whatever are the most dogmatic and most condemning of others' beliefs. I'd also like to mention that there's a book about the history of the Christian creeds, and it's one of my all-time favorite books. It's called The Creeds of Christendom by Philip Schaff. And ironically, Schaff is cited numerous times in the Watchtower. He was a Lutheran church historian and theologian. Not only is reading the actual creeds incredibly satisfying and uplifting, it gives one a real sense into what was going on in church history at the time, because most of them were written in response to various issues regarding doctrine or practice. And that book is only $2.99 as a Kindle. I was amazed, because I paid a lot more than that for them. Okay, see ya.